someone came up to me and licked my cheek.
All right. Somebody got something. I got jack shit to talk about. I think Gandhi.
I have an idea.
Yes, go.
Okay, so Diamond obviously needs to be the one to tell this story, but she had quite a New York moment on her way into work today. She's had a couple recently. And then it made me think of all of our first New York moments, or maybe the biggest New York moment. I think we should talk about them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Diamond, tell us your story, your New York, welcome to New York moment, even though you've been here for like 20-some years.
Her whole life,
Exactly. So I was born and raised in New York, right? So you don't think anything would like top your expectations of New York and like people being out of control. But this morning went over, like it boiled over. So I'm in my car, couldn't find a park, thanks to everyone who drove to work today and was in the way. So I had to park like maybe a block away from where I usually park around the building. And a drunk man was just, I don't want to use the word harass because it sounds a little like super serious, but yeah, no, he was harassing me. Just like standing outside of the car yelling, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" Then he starts yelling in Spanish, and I'm like, well, I don't know what he's saying, but he's very angry. So I call my dad. I'm like, what is he saying? We couldn't figure out what he was saying, but he was yelling directly at me. And I tried to turn, and he walks around the car to like yell in my face. I'm like, oh my God, I can't get out of this car. What am I going to do? Thankfully, Garrett came and helped me.
Thank you, Garrett.
No
Good.
problem. This guy was humping her car. Like I would definitely have your car checked out for some type of disease or whatever. Like he was in the front of the car, just pointing.
Oh my God!
And doing like.
So
like
Garrett, what did you say to him to get him away?
So I didn't say much. He apparently calmed down as soon as he saw myself and another gentleman that works with the building approach Diamond, and. He was just like I don't know if he was yelling at Diamond or he was yelling at Diamond's car. I think he was trying to have a conversation with Diamond's car. He was that drunk. And then Diamond walked back into the building. I took the car to go park it somewhere else, and all of a sudden he starts helping me get out of the spot too. Like he went from being an aggressor to Diamond to helping me get out of the parallel
traffic cop?
Yeah, to a traffic cop.
Oh,
all
he
in
got
once.
scared.
Oh my God.
Wow.
But that is like your stereotypical like it really only does happen in New York to have somebody harass you like that. And then all of a sudden to flip on a dime and try and back your car. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I remember when my parents first came to visit, and my parents grew up in like Erie, Pennsylvania, had never been in New York City, had never ridden the subway. I'm like, hey, let's take the subway up to the Natural History Museum. So we hop on the subway, and I had ridden the subway probably 300 times before that. Never really had an incident that was remarkable. So I told my mom and dad, I'm like, hey, it'll be fine. We'll be great. Don't worry. My mom had her purse on like underneath her jacket because she was concerned she was going to get mugged. Whatever. So we get on the subway, and then instantly the guy comes on that is speaking to Jesus. Have you ever had that guy?
Oh yeah.
Like, oh, Jesus, I'm going to save us. And just as loud as can be. And just speaking in tongues. And I looked at my mom and dad, and I'm like, okay, it's real simple. We'll just change cars when we get to the next stop. So we get to the next stop, and we change cars. And then this other woman comes in, totally unrelated to the other guy, who proceeds to then start, like, going through her bag and changing her clothes.
Oh, yes.
Like, taking her shirt off. And I'm like,
important.
oh,
You
Jesus
gotta have clean clothes.
Christ. Like, just full-on disrobing in front of my mom, who's horrified at this point. And I'm just like, you can't fucking win, man. New York City.
And nothing particularly phases me anymore, but I only have two memories of weird, like really weird things, both involving trains. One on the subway, where there was a woman taking a dump in the corner as I was getting on the train. I was like, why did I get into this car? And like 3 years ago, I was coming up the stairs at Penn Station, and there was a dude completely naked laying on the steps masturbating. And I mean, the steps were crowded. There were
Oh my gosh.
50, 60, 70 people walking up the steps, and it was nothing. And no one cared.
What'd you see last week, Scotty?
What did I see last week?
outside the cab driver.
Oh, the cab driver taking a dump on the sidewalk?
I've seen that too.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
He pulled
I've
over
seen a
by
lot
the
of
hotel.
dumps,
Why would
too.
I think I don't understand is he pulled over in front of the hotel on the corner down there, pulled his pants down, and I was at the red light. I was like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
Maybe he
Took a
couldn't
dump.
wait.
But why didn't he go into the hotel?
Maybe he
So-
couldn't wait. I don't know.
The one time I saw a woman taking a dump and peeing in the middle of the street, she was yelling. First, she was saying, "Take a picture, it'll last longer." Then she said, "You don't want to let me in your establishment to do my shit? I do my shit outside." So I was like, okay.
Wow, how
They
big
didn't let
daddy
her
of her.
Wow.
Oh,
On
my
behalf of the New York
gosh.
City Tourism Board, I'd like to say, please come here.
I just saw some footage last week from one of our friends, Astra. She has video of a guy pulling his pud in broad daylight, just sitting on the hood of a car, just going back and forth. In the middle of Times Square, where there are people.
I was on.
Yeah.
Well,
in the middle of the
fairness, this all happened while Broadway was closed. Now that Broadway's open again, we should be fine.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Oh, I had
I was
my
on
first.
the path one day, and there was a guy. He had on kind of like a thick coat, but there was an actual needle, like a heroin needle, sticking out of the coat. So I was like, "Hey, you have like something jabbed your coat." He looked at me, cracked out, and goes, "I'm saving that shit for later." I said, "Okay." Wow. All right. Shame on me.
Wow.
Leave that needle stuck in your coat. All right.
Leftovers.
I had my first moment the first semester interning here because I was walking to the bus stop and someone came up to me and licked my cheek. He licked up the side of my face, and when I said, "What the hell?" he goes, "That's how I say hello."
Oh my gosh, did you get tested for all sorts of stuff?
I said to my dad, and he like looked into my eyes. He goes, "You're fine."
Danielle, didn't Scary lick your cheek once?
No, he licked my neck. That didn't turn out.
Oh no, somehow
Did
worse.
not turn out well.
Yeah, I threw shit at his head after.
Surprise.
Fair.
But when I first went into New York, I think I took the bus there when I was younger, and I remember a guy, as soon as I got off the bus, he stuck his face in the middle of my chest, and he goes, "Wow, look at those watermelons." And I was like, okay, I'm getting back on the bus.
Assault.
Not going to happen.
Not cool.
It was terrible.
In 90% of these stories, you are totally entitled to just punch that person.
Of course.
Right?
Right in the
100%.
fucking face.
I think you're in shock, though, a lot of times, and you just
Yeah.
don't know what to do. You're like, what the?
Right.
Well, I remember one time I was walking across the street. I think we had an event at Madison Square Garden or something. And I'm walking on, like, crossing 32nd Street, and the light changed, so then all this flood of people crosses from both sides. As I'm halfway across the street, this old woman, this seriously old woman, she's probably in her 70s, gray hair, carrying a bag with yarn in it. She gets down in a crouching stance like this and goes, "Wah!" and punches me, tries to punch me in the nuts. I move to the side quick enough that she punches my thigh, and I'm like, what the fuck? But it was seriously one of these moments where you're like, did that just fucking happen?
It's the sound effect that has me.
No, she's seriously
my gosh.
in a fighting stance and goes, "Wah!"
You know she was walking up and down the street looking at crotches and going, "This is the one that really annoys
Right,
me."
this is
What did
it.
the
Very
people around you
punchable
do?
crotch.
Oh my
No,
gosh.
I mean, it's New York. Nobody gives a shit. Like, people
No.
just kept walking. And I'm like, do I hit this woman? And I just like, what the
I feel like if you spend time in New York, you got to do what my dad used to tell me about softball. He said when you're on the field, you have to know what you do with the ball before it comes to you. Always have it in mind. So you have to line up your, okay, next time I get almost hoo-ah in the nuts or someone tries to lick my face, I'm going to turn around and punch them.
Tell you what,
I'm
never
ready.
in my life did I think Mrs. Doubtfire would try and punch me in the balls on 30 seconds.
Seriously. I had a guy getting off the PATH train one day, and I was just standing to waiting to get on, and he pinched my cheeks. I think I told you guys about this. He pinched my cheeks, like both of them, right in his hands, and he was like, "Oh, chubby cheeks, love them," and just kept going. And I was like, he didn't really assault me, but he grabbed my face and
That's
then called my
assault.
cheeks.
That's
That is
assault.
assault.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Absolutely
touch me.
assault.
Yeah,
That's assault.
Well,
So,
she does have cute cheeks, though. You can't blame the guy.
that must be it.
Brody's that guy.
Froggy, in all of your time coming to New York City, when you would come up to visit, did anything like that happen?
No, and I feel very left out now. I feel like I still need to have that experience. I've never seen anybody take a shit or jerk off. I've never had anybody punch me in the balls walking across 32nd Street. Nothing. None of
wants
this stuff. No. Nobody ever put their face in my chest and said nice, or even Lisa for that fact. Nobody put their face and said nice watermelons. Nothing.
That's crazy.
Do you want us to arrange this next time you visit? Like we could go on Craigslist and find a nut puncher for you.
I feel very left out and very un-New Yorked.
But isn't it still so funny that all of us have these New York stories and the craziest headlines still come out of Florida?
Yeah.
You still got it.
Exactly. We own
That's
that
normal
shit.
here.
There's too much of this shit that comes out of New York. I mean, for any of these stories, which would be a headline in Erie, Pennsylvania, this shit happens. It's happening right now somewhere.
How about the people on the crutches like that are begging for money, and then when the light turns, I've seen them tuck the crutches underneath their armpits and run to the next, so that they can. And I'm just like, what? Wait a minute.
For the amount of money I have given, I should own a basketball team somewhere in the tri-state area.
Yeah.
I'm always.
Did
giving,
Brody have a New York story, or does he not venture into the city often?
He was the woman that tried.
Yeah. No, but I will the next time I see you. No, I'm from the city, so everything seems normal to me. Like all this stuff is.
If a guy laying on the subway steps jerking off or shitting in the corner is normal, that's not normal. That's not normal.
It wouldn't faze me. It just is like, oh, okay, it's New York. There's 15 million people in the area. It's just used to it. It's like Froggy when one of your friends marries his cousin. It doesn't faze you.
No, I still think it's wrong, though. No, I still think it's wrong. Yeah, I still think it's wrong.
Well, okay.
Also,
I don't think the guy should be
because
pooping
whenever
on the
there's
subway.
some like crazy stuff happening outside the window, everybody, even the guys who are born and raised in New York, New Jersey, runs to the window to see what's happening.
Yeah, those people are just fucking. That happens regularly.
Okay, I've got something here. So I want you to each give your subway tip. Like when you're riding the subway, what is one thing that you always do? So one thing that I do, as soon as I okay, all right, hang on. As soon as I step into the car, I take a big sniff. Take a big, like if you're, no, seriously, because every once in a while you'll get in there and there's human excrement.
Okay.
So you need
I've never seen that.
I've never seen that.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Wait a minute. Are you talking about the ones that are on people already or on the floor?
On the floor. I have seen that more times than I care to count, because there would be times where I just get into a car because I'm like, fuck it, I just got to stand in here. And then 2 seconds later, as the door is closing, I'm like, what's that smell? And then you see a pile of shit. So if you're taking the New York City subway, take a big sniff as you're walking in, because you do have a chance to go to that next car.
The number 2 train, Nate? Number 2 train?
Number 2.
Yeah.
I mean, mine's simple. Just don't fall asleep ever. I did it when I was in high school. I woke up, I was coming from the Garden, supposed to get off at one of the last stops in New York City to get back home into Staten Island, fell asleep, woke up in Brooklyn. And when you don't know the train system, waking up in Brooklyn is kind of scary because you're like, where the hell am I? So don't fall asleep.
My tip is don't sit under the map, because people are going to be in your face staring at the stops.
Unless you like that.
Unless you like,
they're going to have their dicks in your face the whole time, too.
The subway map is usually like if you're sitting down, it's like here and above. And then people are going to have to come up to you if they're looking where they go. And don't sit near the map.
Mine is don't touch the pole.
Yes.
So no matter what happens, get those thigh muscles in shape and get on it like this. Do not touch the pole, because the germs on the pole, I can't even imagine.
Yep. Ride it like a surfboard. Don't touch anything.
Don't look anyone in the eye either.
Yeah,
Don't make
keep
eye
to
contact.
yourself.
Oh, keep reading the signs above. Just keep reading them over and over again.
Yeah, you go first, buddy. Okay.
My tip is take a screenshot on your phone of the New York City subway map, and this way you have it on your phone. And you don't have to go over to the seat where somebody's going to hate you for staring at the map, like Scary pointed out.
Yeah, true
have
story.
the thing on your phone so that you can always look and see where you are and what stop you're at.
See, I have bitchy resting face normally. I understand that. But if I'm on the subway alone, I intensify it so much because I want everyone to think that I'm really mean and scary. I feel like I get bothered less.
Mine is more, somebody told me this when I first came here, and I just stick to it all the time. Never, ever, especially if you are a woman, get into a car where nobody else is in it. And if everybody gets off, you get off too, and you wait for the next train to come by with people in the actual car, because that's when the weird stuff goes down, when you're alone in a subway car. So I just exit if I have to.
Yeah. If I'm always nervous when I see that door open, when the train's moving between stations and then somebody comes from another car, which you're not supposed to do.
Yes.
Right.
Like, oh, fuck, what's going to happen now?
Right.
And it's not.
100%.
I always think like, oh, maybe it's going to be like a surprise performance from the Jonas Brothers, but that's not what it is.
Never the Jonas
You watch
Brothers.
too much Fallon. Too much Fallon, Danielle.
I know. I
Shit
watch
doesn't
too much
happen.
late night. You're right.
Those dancers are always so talented, but smell like death. I don't love it.
Yeah. Then you
But
get
as Brody said, please come to New York. It's great here.
Yeah, this is a glowing endorsement for the subway system.
Yeah.
It is.
Diamond, I'm going to
Just
let you
don't
have
buy the candy.
Yeah, for the
Diamond.
basketball team.
Any
Don't buy the
final
candy.
last words from you, Diamond, on riding the New York City subway?
Get on with your headphones on, but don't play the music, so people won't talk to you, but you'll be able to hear everything.
Ah, very
Yes.
good, Diamond.
Good one.
Smart,
Very good,
Diamond. Very
Diamond.
smart.
Alert.
Oh,
Good
yeah.
This podcast sponsored by, as Brody said, the New York City Board of Tourism. Please
Yes.
keep visiting us.
It's the
Please
greatest
visit.
city in the world.
Come
Come
see
here.
us.
Often.
All right, are we done?
Yes.
Yay!
Bye.
Bye.